everybody, welcome back to another video with me. I am glad you are here. If you haven't seen some of my previous videos, today's video is going to be sort of like a spin-off or a bounce off of another video. I have made wallets with card slots in it, with zippers in it. I have made a simple wallet with no card slots. You know, both projects, I think, well, one is good for a beginner, another is sort of like, you know, almost intermediate. Today's project that we are going to work on was a request by one of my customers. So we're going to be sewing a Billfold wallet. Let's just get to it. The first thing we want to do is grab your outer fabrics. I'm going to put the two of these together. One side has interface already, one side does not. I'm putting them pretty side to pretty side. I'm going to just put a stitch line across the top, 1/4 inch. If you need to pay attention to your pattern placement, I'm going to open this up. We need to iron it in just a moment, just to press it down. Well, actually, you can probably get away with finger pressing it. So I'm going to finger press it there and put a top stitch 1/8 inch. This is going to serve as the outer fabric of the wallet. Okay, so this is going to serve as this portion of the wallet. Okay, right there. Grab one of your inner lining pieces. And at this time, what we want to do is use the long card slot fabrics. See this right here? The long card slot fabrics. We're going to be folding these up in order to put them onto this panel that we just created. Okay. You'll need your ruler, marking where we want to create the card slots that we're going to be folding. So at 2.5 inches down, I'm making a first mark here. 2.5. Now we want 1 3/4. My line is underneath here if you can't see it, so that's 1 inch, and then we have the 3/4. So 1 3/4. Now 2.5 inches from that line. One 3/4 again. We're just going to alternate down the entire length of this fabric. 2.5. 1 3/4. 1 3/4. Oh, I just, oh, did I get it? It slid. Okay. Let's make sure. Good. So we have 2.5 right at the end. Perfect. We need to do an accordion fold. And the way that we're going to do that in order to get these card slots is by folding on the lines that we actually made. I'm going to start off with the first one, folding under so that the right side meets the right side. And I'm starting on my right hand side. So for you, you're probably seeing it on your left. So starting on my right hand side. Now I'm going to fold back. A good way to do this to make sure you get the line is to use something flat. And the idea is you should notice when you're folding that your fabric should be flush with the other fabric. But when you can't see when you can't see the other side. So we fold it forward. Now I need to fold towards the interface for this one. Just moving that out the way. Okay. So it's just a big alternating strategy right now. Lifting so I can fold pretty side towards pretty side. I finger pressed as I go along. And the last one, interface to interface. Just going to use my ruler here. It's a little thick, so it might affect the size at first, but you can adjust it. All right, so you should have something that looks like this. My sides are all lined up. Let me turn this around so you can see. My sides are all lined up with each other. Okay, you want to do the same thing to your other piece, your other long piece. Okay, so go ahead and do that to your other piece, and then we'll prep for the next step. Okay, checking, they look even. Great. We want to prepare this to create the top stitch. So I'm just going to flatten it down a bit. If you iron this part, it will make it a lot easier for the next step. Okay. Let's base stitch both sides of both of these accordion pockets. Actually, before we do that, right now what we want to do is we want to take each piece and individually we want to put a top stitch right across each one. The way that we're going to do that is by lifting one portion, placing it, doing the top stitch, then leave that alone, grab the next piece, we want to do the same thing to each individual card slot. Okay, so that's 3 done there. Okay, that's for one side. I'm going to work on the other side now. Okay, so you have 2 accordion sections that are complete. Let's base stitch the sides so that it keeps the pockets closed when we're ready to connect them. You want to go really close to your edge, so you can go 1/8 of an inch. The idea is just to catch what's underneath here. So I don't need to start at the very bottom. I'm just trying to catch the fabric that's underneath here that created the accordion. I'm also not concerned about back stitching because another stitching is going to be placed on that particular side of the seam. You definitely want to make sure that your pocket lines are straight so that your material is flush. Otherwise your pockets will come out crooked. The slots will come out crooked. Okay. You might want to do this just because the strings, the threads will be shown. The threads will be shown through your actual project. Grab your 4x4 squares, these squares right here. You want to take one piece of the 4x4. At this time, we want to create this space right here, the backing for this, so that you don't see the accordion slots behind the wallet, because this serves as almost sort of like a secret pocket. Okay, we're going to create the backing there. So we went pretty side to pretty side and put a stitch right down the side, 1/8 of an inch. Now, notice which side I put this fabric on when I did pretty side to pretty side. I sewed on the left side, right? For this particular one, we want to put the fabric on, okay, pretty side to pretty side, but now we need to sew it on the opposite side, okay? We don't want two of the same pockets where the fold is the same way. I'll show you why in just a moment. So for the next accordion card slot section, sew a line straight down on the opposite side. It'll make sense in a few minutes. Okay. I'm going to make this a little wider. I just saw my stitching on the other side. You know what? Let me just show you something. I'll show you. So if you notice here, right, my stitching, I did 1/8 of an inch. But look, when I opened it here, so you do not see my stitching inside, right? The base stitching. But look at this one. So here's the stitching that I did. Oh, I see why, because it dipped in a little bit. So look at this. When I open this, I can see my stitching in there from the base stitching. I don't want to see that. So if that happens to you, go back and straighten up that stitch line. Okay. Straightening it up. No one's going to see that. Okay, see, now I don't see it. Okay, so look at this. Again, we sewed on opposite sides, right? And here's why you wanted to do that. Look right here at these card slots. So I'm going to open this up and put this behind. Okay. This portion is going to serve as this side of the wallet. You see? So we have a clean edge on this side. The opposite panel, I've sewed on the opposite side. When I open it up, and put it back is going to serve as this side of the wallet, okay, with a clean edge. So we want to either finger press this or get your iron to flatten this. Okay. I'm going to use the iron to flatten mine. Now you have a choice. When you look at this, right, you can choose to fold it over completely so you don't see any portion of the fold. So fold it under completely, or you can choose to show a little bit. It depends. It's up to you, and it really depends on, you know, how your seam is. Okay. Going to flatten this out. We're going to be putting a top stitch. I didn't put a top stitch here, but I'm thinking I might like the way it looks with the top stitch. Everything is like, you figure it out as you go. So I'm going to put a top stitch down both sides of the pretty seams. Well, I should say the finished seam. And this one as well. Now you have a choice. You could, if you wanted to, if you didn't want to put billfold card slots on both sides, you can put a pocket here with a little snap. Change it the way you want to. I'm just doing it like this because I need the space for more cards. Okay. At this point, you want to grab one of your lining pieces, the inner lining piece. This portion here for the inner lining, we need to lay this on top of here so that we have a nice backing when the wallet is opened up. If you have clover clips, wonder clips or clover clips, you might want to use those for this particular portion of the project, just because there's double layers here and it might be hard to get the pins through. All right, grab. We want to secure this. I want to make sure that this is pulled over. Okay. Base stitching on this, on the left and right sides, just to hold it down. The bobbin. Okay. And now this side. I'm just lining this up towards the edge. I'm not worried about this right here because we're going to make it a clean finish edge shortly. All right, you should have something that looks floppy like this. Let's put a small stitch across the bottom. It's just helping hold it in place a little bit more. Stragglies. Grab the other lining piece that you have. We want to put it pretty side to pretty side. So we have the lining piece that looks like this right now. We have this backing attached, and we have the accordion pockets laying on top of this. But now what we want to do is we want to create the lining piece for inside of the bill area. That's what this is going to do, but also it's going to give us a clean edge on the top so we don't see the raw edge. At this time, just cut off any loose threads you have so that you don't get it poking, so that you don't get them poking out of the fabric. Pretty side to pretty side. And again, I'm going to use these clips here because of the thickness. It's just securing it, just securing the bottom. Going right across the top, straight across, using a quarter of an inch seam allowance. Have to get rid of all my stragglies. Fold it under. You have a nice pretty edge here now. You can finger press it because it's actually a little nice, and it's nice and thick, so you don't need to iron it at this time. At this point, you will be ironing it. Let's top stitch across the top of the wallet to give it a finished edge. Be sure that your seams are lying flat. If you need to iron it before you do this, go ahead and iron. I'm using 1/8 of an inch. I'm just adjusting. Looks very nice. Okay. Grab the tab. Let's create the pocket for it. I mean the tab for the closure. Obviously, as you can see, I've already put my snap on one side. This is the 5-inch portion. Let's close this over, the 5-inch tab. Fold it over, and you're going to sew down the left and the right sides. If you decide to use snaps, you can use snaps or you can use Velcro. It's up to you. Just know that if you choose to use, hook and loop or Velcro, that you may want to consider sewing it on because the stick-on will come off. Wallets get a lot of use. Notice once I fold it over the tab, I'll show you how far I put the snap. The snap is at the 2-inch mark of one side, so that when it's folded over, you'll see right now when I turn this right side out, it'll sit towards the front part of the tab. The chopstick will allow us to get in the corners, poke them out really nice. You see? So we have that, the snap close to the top, which is what we want. You want to iron this before you give it a little press before you close it up. Well, before you add it onto the wallet. It's very hard to, oh, that's the wrong side of my mat. It's very hard to iron it afterwards. Let's top stitch all the way around 1/8 of an inch. This is what we have. At this point, we want to adhere the tab so that we can prepare the other portion of the closure. So put your tab, I'm just going to stick it right on top actually. Put it anywhere you want to. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 inches. The wallet itself, the finished portion, will be 4 inches high. So right at the 2.5 mark. Okay. Okay, so pretty side to pretty side. See that? With the snap facing in. One-eighth of an inch. It will be reinforced again when we sew. So you don't have to worry about it not, being strong enough. Just so you can see, look at this portion now. This will eventually be here, okay? This is what it will look like, okay? What we need to do is prepare this clasp to attach onto the front portion of the wallet. So to do that, as you can tell, I have not put it on. You see this? This is the portion we want to create right now. Okay. Again, if you're going to use Velcro, use Velcro. If not, you can, use the snaps. You want to make sure that it's lined up. I'm going to put it about 1 inch in. And again, this is the 2.5 mark. So I like to just do like this. Okay, let's see. This is the 2.5 that we marked before, so 2.5 there. Let me get the other portion. Okay. Now, underneath, we want the snap to go on the outer portion. Okay, so you want to lift up the pieces that you've already prepared and put the snap. I'm going to actually flip this just because I have interface on that part. But we want to put the snap on the portion which is the strongest because it needs to give, way for pulling. If you don't know how to apply a snap, you can check out one of my other videos because I've done snaps several times. Okay, so this is what we just did right here, this portion. You can go ahead and grab the wallet piece, and at this point we want to put pretty side to pretty side. When you put the pretty side to pretty side, your snap should be on the opposite end that your tab is on. Okay. So I have my pretty side to pretty side. I don't want this shifting. I want to make sure that my top lines up with each other so that when you have your top lines up, you know that your wallet is going to be even. I'll move this side because I'm going to sew my right side first. So starting on the right side, I'm going to sew all the way down across the entire bottom and then up the top. We're not going to sew that finished edge that's there. Okay, and you're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance because you want to make sure that you sew past the 1/8 inch marks, the stitch lines that we've already done. Okay, so use 1/4 inch seam allowance. What you can do here is start with your machine, start a little bit further down from the top so that it doesn't grab and bunch your fabric. And your machine will just backstitch naturally. Going over the tab, I'm going to give it a little extra love. Went back a few times. Little extra love on the sides. Just making sure my stitches, my loose threads are inside at this point. Now the wallet is inside out, obviously. Reduce the bulk, clipping off the ends. I'm going to trim this seam allowance down a little bit. The reason we wanted a 1/4 inch again is because we wanted to cover up the stitch lines from the bottom, the 1/8 stitch lines, but I don't want that bulk inside of the wallet. So I just trimmed off 1/8 inch. And I'm going to do the same thing here as well. Even though we're going to put a top stitch, go ahead and flip it right side out. You'll need a chopstick. You know, I should have said, if you don't want to add the tab, you don't need the tab if you want it to do like a male version. Okay, so don't add the tab if don't if you're trying to do something a little more masculine. Okay, pushing down. Okay, let's see. Just want to, before I flatten it, just checking to... So the tab could have been a little higher. I mean, I like it. Okay, let's put the iron over this to flatten it out. My iron. You can do this side as well. And now is the time to top stitch from the top all the way down, all the way to the top of the other side. Obviously, do not go across the top. And I'm sewing on 3.0. I can feel the button, the snap right on the other side. So I'm going slow right here because I can feel it right here. Just didn't want my machine to bump it. And snip. Oh, this side as well. And that's all. Let's see. Do I have a card or something to put in here? Let's see what I have. Okay, cards right there. Obviously, you can put whatever you'd like inside of them. There's the little pockets. Okay, that's what we have. So the finished product is 4 inches, so about 4 by 4. The only thing I would do differently is I would lift up the, I would move up the tab, the snap tab. So that's what I would do. I will put it a little higher. Let me see where did I place it? So instead of placing it at the bottom, I would actually place it at the the middle slot right here. So put the tab right there. I think that's obvious. That's what I did with these. And so you see these? That's at the middle. Yep. See, my placement is different there. But that's because I was trying to work upside down for the camera. Okay, you have an inside billfold area. Okay. And we've already seen that already. All right, so remember, you can do this without, you can do this project without putting the tab on if you want it for a gentleman, you know, to have a billfold. If you have questions, you know what to do. I'm going to see you back here for the next video, okay? All right, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.